ravishingly, wonderfully, terribly, horribly in love with love. And life itself, even when it hurts, even when we cry and beg for it all to end, even then, it's all so very beautiful and real and perfect that we carry sunshine in our chests. Our rib cages cast shadows on the blind slide out of our flesh. You can see ghosts dancing in our skin if you squint, and we can guide ships past rocky shores just by toeing the lips of the ocean and spreading our arms wide. Our goal in life is simple: to be wide-eyed and breathless at the wonders of the world around us, and dance naked in the summer rain, and laugh even when everything sucks, even when we embarrass ourselves live in front of audiences, even when broken shards of our hearts slip between our fingers and fall to the floor, because we may not always be happy, and we may not always be right, and we may not always be beautiful, but right here and right now we are all breathing the same breath, and we are young enough to be alive, and all the stoplights are so green they sprout tendrils that tickle the tops of passing buses, and the whole wide world is still so full of magic and possibility. It would be an insult not to drink deeply of it. That's what we do. We drink deeply of life in full-throated gulps. That's who we are. We are poets. Anybody know what they were doing July 16th, 2005 at 12:01 a.m.? I wasn't asleep, because I was in line at the Barnes & Noble waiting for Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. Anybody like Harry Potter? I wrote a song. I would like to sing it for you now. It's about a 13-year-old boy who's in love with his best friend. I see you sitting there in the library with your nose pressed into a book, and I'm sitting across from you, crossing my fingers, hoping you'll stop and give me a look. The sound of your voice makes my face go full flush, as red as Ron Weasley's hair. And I want with all of my being to reach out and take your hand, but I do not dare. I used to think that Cho Chang was the one who was the object of my desire. But now I know, my dear, you're the witch who turns my heart into a goblet of fire. Oh, Hermione Granger, I love you. I can't keep you off of my mind. Climb on the back of my Nimbus 2000. We'll leave Hogwarts far behind, far behind. Ooh. Sometimes I hide under my invisibility cloak, just so I can watch you from afar. And I don't care if your parents were muggles, the lights in your eyes shine like stars. If I had the chance to go back to first year, I'll tell you just what I would do. I wouldn't take that sorting hat from my head till it said I belong to you. And yeah, I know you know who is out there somewhere trying to kill me with his evil dark art, but the mark he left on my forehead is nothing compared to the lightning bolt-shaped scar on my heart. Oh, Hermione Granger, I love you. I can't keep you off of my mind. Climb on the back of my Nimbus 2000. We'll leave Hogwarts far behind, far behind. Ooh. I've written you a note on a scroll, my dear, and tied it to my owl Hedwig's leg. I'm hoping my words will convince you to love me, so I don't have to fall to my knees and beg. It says if you love me half as much as I love you, meet me at midnight behind Hagrid's shack. They're 13, shut up. And if you're not there, I'll know that you don't, and I'll have to find my way back to being your best friend. Aww. Sing with me now. Hermione Granger, I love you. I can't keep you off of my mind. Climb on the back of my Nimbus 2000. We'll leave Hogwarts far behind, far behind. Ooh, thank you very much. My name is Big Papa E. Obviously, that's not my given name, but it was given to me. I remember very clearly the first time someone in an audience shouted, "Big Papa!" Everyone laughed, and I had no idea why. You see, Biggie had been shot a few years before, and boomboxes were still blasting. I love it when you call me Big Papa. I guess the image of this little white kid talking 10 foot tall and bulletproof was just a tad ridiculous, but I was selling it. You could almost squint your eyes and believe this little kid with steel-toed boots could kick a bit of the old ass. From that moment on, I was never called anything else. People I had known for years dropped my given name and picked up my new moniker with glee. And to this day, more people know me as Papa than anything else. In fact, I've been accused of lying when I've claimed to be him. My given name is Eric Ott, and I spend my life spelling it. No, that's E-I-R-I-K. E-I. E-I. It looks like Iric. When I tell them my last name is O-T-T, they pause, look up at me as if to say, "Is that all?" And I want to say, "I stopped talking." But I don't. I just reiterate, yes, it's O-T-T. 3 letters, rhymes with Scott, or pot, snot, twat, kumquat, paraquat, 16 shells from a 30-06, Ott man. It's no wonder, really, that I have a sincere and lifelong affection for otters, having been identified with them since junior high. The only time I hear my first name is when I'm in a doctor's office or I've been pulled over by a cop. It's Richard. It's not a bad name, it's just not my name. It's my father's name. He's Richard Glee Ott, and he's never liked his middle name, which is very understandable. Glee? What the fuck is that? So he goes by Richard G. Ott, and I've never liked him, so I go by R. Eric Ott. On my birth certificate, my middle name is spelled E-R-I-C, and it remained that way until the end of my junior year in high school when I heard Leif Erikson and Eric the Red spelled their names in the Norwegian fashion. E-I-R-I-K. I was a dork. I played Dungeons and Dragons. That should say it all. It's been that way ever since. 22 years now, and my father still refuses to recognize the spelling. He says, "My son's name is E-R-I-C. I don't know who this other guy is, but he's not my son." When my dad was a kid, his nickname was Dick. He hated it, but I find it rather appropriate. My girlfriend Zara calls me Habibi, Arabic for sweetie. She'll greet me sometimes with delight and say, "Habibi, ana habek," which means sweetie, I love you. Sometimes she says, "Habibi, atini busi," which means sweetie, give me a kiss. No one else gets to call me Habibi. I'm her Habibi. My dad used to call me Bud. My sister still calls me that over the phone. When I visited my family in Wichita last Thanksgiving, I heard my father call my sister's husband Bud. I wanted to stand tall in the middle of the crowded restaurant and shove my finger in his face and shout, "That is not his name. That is my name. I am Bud." But I didn't. I just put more gravy on my cornbread stuffing and continued to eat in silence as my father laughed at something my sister's husband said. My grandma used to say, "I don't care what you call me, just don't call me late for dinner." But I do care. I think we should discard the names of our parents and choose our own names at 5 years old. We live in a nation of adults named Spider-Man Jackson and Strawberry Shortcake Stedman, and that would forever remind us of who we were and who we are and the choices we made in between. Names are important. Names have power. Naming something gives you power over it, and choosing your own name snatches that power back. And I am loath to relinquish that power. I never wanted a weightlifter's body. Bulging biceps, more granite boulders than meat carved by steel and syringes. Useless, save for poses and intimidation. No, I always wanted a swimmer's body. Perfect poetry in motion. Liquid made flesh, hairless and streamlined. Muscles taut as drumheads pounding rhythms on the surface of the water in a syncopated symphony of grace and power and purpose. But alas, alack, Obviously, I was graced with neither. No water has honed these thighs. No iron has etched these calves, for I have a poet's body. Hunchbacked and pot-bellied, skin not bronzed in oil, but pale and sallow from basking in the radiation of a computer screen in a darkened room. Body fueled not by steroids and energy bars, but by shots of old granddad whiskey at the 4 in the morning and coffee. Lots of coffee! Give me some fucking coffee and make it dark and black as the devil's asshole! You see, this body doesn't pump iron. It pumps irony into poem after... Oh, you knew it was coming. Don't act surprised. You would have been disappointed. Pumping irony into poem after poem, slinging sweat on reams of bright white inkjet paper and sumo wrestling demons by candlelight. I've traded rock-hard abs for a rock-solid vocab. Toned trapeziuses for threadbare thesauruses, a mountainous gluteus maximus for a moth-eaten Moleskine notebook, and 20 reps at the Bowflex for the 20-volume set of the Oxford English Language Dictionary. Oh yes, 151 pounds of pure definition. Give me a smoky poetry slam and a dingy dive bar over cleaning and jerking in a cold shim any day. My fellow slam poets, we may not be muscle-bound freaks, but we are multisyllabic monsters, lifting the spirit of the masses with the strength of our conviction and pulling down crooked regimes with pen strokes. Our muscles propel our fingertips across keyboards at 86 truths per minute, and our eyes that flash in the direction of every sigh, and our hearts, the strongest muscle in the human body that weeps and moans and gnashes its teeth and fights and loves so hard, it nearly bursts from my chest when it rains. I'm on the phone with a customer, and he asked me to calculate the sales tax on an item. So I pull out my little calculator and multiply $185 by 1.0825, which yields the cost of the item plus the sales tax, $200.26. He says he must discuss this with his wife, so he puts me on hold. And I sit there, just me and the calculator. I press C to clear the display. Then I enter 2006 and subtract 1967, the year of my birth, and I get 39, the age I'll turn on my birthday, May 11th, 1 year shy of 40. I hit C. I enter 2006 and subtract 1985, the year I graduated from high school, and I get 21. I've never been to a high school reunion. I didn't like those people then, and I doubt I'd like them now. Still, I wonder, who got fat? Who got pretty? Who got rich? Who died? 21 years. My girlfriend is 21. I hit C. I enter 1967, then add 57, the age of my father's father when he died of lung cancer, and I get 2024. From that, I subtract 2006 and get 18. 18 years left to live should I die at the same age my grandfather did. 18 years. I hit C. I enter 39, my age, and I subtract 21, my girlfriend's age, and I get 18 years. I ponder whether my fear of death and the age of my girlfriend have any connection, as if dating someone so young somehow staves off thoughts of aging. I hit C. I hit C. I hit C. My cubicle neighbor stares at me. I stare back. I'm on hold. My father was 21 when I was born. He was on an aircraft carrier off the coast of Vietnam when a month-old letter delivered the news. I was nearly a year old before he held me in his hands. He turned 60 this October, 3 years older than his father was when he died. I see my parents once or twice a year, and every time I am surprised by how older they look. How much older they look. They've been married just 7 months longer than I've been alive. You do the math. My mom was only 17. My dad was 20. They've now been together twice as long as they were apart. I first had sex in May of 1984. Her name was Michelle. We were 17. We didn't use condoms. We had sex in the back of my pickup in the middle of a field at the edge of town. If she had gotten pregnant, she would have had the baby in February of 1985. My girlfriend was born February 20th, 1985. I hit C. Nothing happens. I fucking hate math, I say out loud under my breath as I close my eyes. My customer says, "Excuse me, I am no longer on hold." I ask him if we can move forward, and he says he has to think about it. We both have a lot to think about. Thanks. It always happens. When I rock a microphone, I feel 10 foot tall and luminous, steel-toed and bulletproof. But then I'll walk triumphantly off stage, and inevitably, some tall fucker walks up to me and feels compelled to state the obvious. "Wow, Big Papa E, you're not very big, now are you?" Well, allow me to fashion a witty retort. Fuck all y'all tall motherfuckers! Short people, being short is not a shortcoming, it's a strength. All it takes to turn a tall person into a whiny little bitch is a road trip. But me, I'm stretching out and going to sleep. If this venue were engulfed in smoke and flames like a Great White concert, all you tall people would fall to your knees trying to suck up all the good air. But us short people, we just walk right the fuck out. Because it's all good air when you're this short. We short people are built for maximum maneuverability, dodging through crowds like liquid mercury, avoiding knees and elbows with acrobatic agility. Question: if a tall person trips and falls alone in a forest, would there be a sound? Answer: fuck yeah, there'd be a sound! But me, I'm already so low to the ground that falling is like laying my head on a pillow. And I never bump my head on anything. If I bump my head on something, that shit's too fucking low. And don't talk to me about reaching stuff, oh hell no. That's why the good Lord invented chairs and tall people. Yo, Michael Jordan, give me that tuna can off the top shelf now, bitch! And yes, the rumors are true. We short guys do indeed have small penises. That is, if you think a throbbing purple Eiffel Tower of flesh is small! Tall people are up to no good. All the truly innovative thinkers of the modern age have been short. Einstein, 5'3". Gandhi, 5'2". Tori Amos, 5'1". Shigeru Miyamoto, the creative genius behind Donkey Kong and Mario Brothers, 4'9", bitches! Now, I don't want you to think that I'm drinking haterade. That's not what I'm all about. You know me. It's all about love, love. Fuck tall people! Fuck tall motherfuckers who sit in front of you at concerts and movies! Fuck tall people who take up the whole damn bed like they own it! Fuck tetherball! I fucking hate tetherball! Whoever invented tetherball's a fucking asshole! And fuck basketball! The only good thing about basketball is that the NBA has corralled those who shall be shot first. Oh yes, the revolution is indeed coming, and this revolution will not be supersized, it will be minimized. And when the short people of this world unite and rise up, you might not be able to tell right away. But when steel-toed, boot-shaped bruises appear on long-ass shins the world over, you will know that me, Gary Coleman, that kid from Webster, and Mini-Me, and the fucking Oompa Loompas, and Prince has finally had enough of your shit and begun taking over the world one step stool at a time. Represents! This one goes out to those who refuse to be defined, who look at government forms as a challenge, who see the safe little boxes next to Caucasian and Asian, Black and Hispanic, and make their own little box labeled all of the above, who scratch out the question entirely and write their own names in large capital letters, who, when forced to choose between male and female, write and said, "See attached 27-page document detailing why my gender and sexuality will never fit within the confines of your obsessive need to define me." This one goes out to those who fight every day for the simple right to exist. For every gay kid ever beaten up for being gay. For every straight kid ever beaten up for being gay. For, yes, for, you felt it, for the fat girl who's not just a fat girl, but the fat girl, who maintains the self-respect others refuse to give her. For every girl who's looked into the plastic faces of Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera and whispers, "Don't you think for a moment that you are speaking for me?" For every boy who hears his friends tell sexist jokes and is man enough to call them out for it. For every band geek who ever picked up a guitar or a drumstick or a French horn instead of a bomb. For every poet who ever picked up a pen instead of a gun and expressed their anger with words instead of blood. For every jock who refused to look at those physically weaker than them as less than them. And for every teacher who ever lived, who ever listened when no one else would, this one goes out to you. To those who refuse to define themselves by their GPA, by the size of their parents' bank accounts, by the clothes they wear, or the music they listen to. To those who demand to be defined by their actions, not by their fashions. Who refuse to be passive consumers in a self-centered nation and throw away their televisions and make their own movies. Who throw away their PlayStations and make their own video games. Who teach themselves to play their own music and write their own novels and create their own art. But most of all, this one goes out to the kid listening right now who thinks I cannot possibly be talking about them. The quiet kid, the one who never speaks, the one with no friends, who's never been on a date, the one ignored by parents, by teachers, by other kids. Yes, this one goes out to you most of all. Know this. I understand. I hear you. I used to be you. Don't you let anyone tell you your voice has no value. Raise your voice, kid, and don't you ever stop.